Welcome to my second favorite big wave. Jaws. Toodoo. Toodoo. Welcome to the Wipeout Weekly, the daily podcast for beginners, wannabe surfers, and seasoned wipeout enthusiasts. No hype, no filler, just the highs, lows, and honest truth about learning to surf and finding your place in surf culture. I'm your host, Suze Wilson. Let's go out. In Riding Giants, the best surf movie in the universe, Laird Hamilton, the tow and surfing inventor, along with Darrick Doerner and Buzzy Kerbox, recalls when Mr. Pipeline himself, Gerry Lopez, sat him down and said, "Hey, young man, come over here. I've got something to show you." And then the Jaws tune starts and you know what's coming. Jaws is located on the north coast of Maui in Hawaii and can only be accessed by sea. And it's not an easy ride for half a mile either. Peʻahi, which is another name for Jaws, means to beckon in Hawaiian. And before it became Jaws, it had another name, Atom Blaster, because, according to Gerry Lopez, when it broke, it looked like an atomic bomb. Matt Warshaw writes about Jaws and the history of surfing. Jaws was marginally less terrifying than Mavericks, just for being set in the tropics. It breaks less than Mavericks, Waimea, or Todos Santos, and the water surfers can easily be turned into a meringue of whitecaps by Maui's renowned valley-funneled offshore winds. What a great description. An entire winter season can pass without Jaws hitting peak foam. But under the right conditions, it produces a perfect hollow wave, which, even if miniaturized, would still be absolutely spectacular. I am thinking that Darrick must have been talking about tow-in surfing rather than Jaws when he said, "We knew that we had discovered the real unridden realm." Because Jaws wasn't actually unridden. Before the North Shore crew of Laird, Darrick, and Buzzy arrived as early as late 80s and early 90s, the wave was ridden by a group of sailboarders, including Mike Waltz, Rush Randall, Mark and Josh Anguolo, and Dave Kalama. And yes, a sailboarder is just another name for a windsurfer. Until our tow-in surfers visited Maui and Jaws, no one actually knew how big it could get. Because before tow-in surfing, that size would not have been rideable. And there's still a bit of disconnect between surfers when talking about the size of Jaws. According to Laird, it's 5 Waimeas. To Darrick, it's 2 Waimeas but 5 times better. And Brian Keaulana, North Shore lifeguard and big wave surfer, describes it as, "You take Makaha, Waimea, Sunset, Pipeline, Kaina Point, Mavericks, put them all together and mix them in a pot, and that's what you get, and more." Okay, so it's really, really big. According to the Encyclopedia of Surfing, Jaws begins to break only at 12 foot and doesn't assume its perfect form until about 20 foot, which only happens a few times a year. Getting to 40 feet, it's a rare occurrence. It was the first surf spot where a 35-foot wave was successfully ridden by Dave Kalama. It doesn't seem like much with all the Nazarenes and all, but it was a massive deal in 1994. This is not when the history of Jaws ends. Quite the opposite. There were competitions, for sure, and the first woman, Paige Alms, to charge the wave. And in 2001, a South African surfer, Chris Burtish, paddled out into Jaws. 5 years later, Mad Dogs from Brazil repeated the feat, and by 2012, everyone and their cat were like, "Tow-in surfing at Peʻahi is old news. It's all about paddle-in surfing." Should you be lucky enough to be on Maui when Jaws breaks, the best viewing is from the Peʻahi Overlook, located at the end of Hahana Road, a mostly unpaved road leading north from the highway between the mile markers 13 and 14. And that's all for today. Check out the Waipai Weekly for our free newsletter, more stories, and ways to connect with us. Thanks for listening. See you tomorrow for more of the Waipai Weekly.